Hello, friends. Welcome to our live stream here on lichess. We will not be covering the 26th day of the Magnus Carlsen 7th event final for the third month in a row. I'll let the others handle that. Exciting development. No, instead we're sticking with our program here. Thursday we're going to do game analysis for subscribers. I like to be constructive and actually learn something here. So, we've got game analysis for the subscribers. Why does my camera look so dark? Shouldn't be dark in here. There it comes, the light. You can't say I have any objection to chess players playing lots of chess, especially the top player. I guess I don't object to him playing lots of chess, but I find it hard to get excited when it just like goes on and on and on and on forever. I mean, if it was just like watching Hikaru play Magnus for the, 7 millionth time, I understand. It's better than watching Joe Schmo play chess, but still. I feel like it's not exciting anymore. Anyway, I just want to take a shot at those streamers trying to use the Magnus Carlsen to make themselves famous or whatever. Alright, so Thursday we've got game submissions for analysis from Princess, Mr. Slow, Warnaki, Asterbait, and then I don't think he's a subscriber, but AP87 sent in a game. Mr. Coffee, you're not on the list. Good to see you here. I was just thinking, would it be better if Steve Bannon had been poisoned and Alexei Navalny was in jail? A lot of news developments today. But some of it good, some of it bad. Try to keep up with current events. Alright, but anyway, that's beside the subject. We're going to take Thursday analysis games here. Princess, Mr. Slow, Warnaki, I said Asterbait, and APA7. Did anybody else submit a game that I forgot about? And I apologize for starting late. I've had this weird sort of headache for like the last couple of days. I think it's a nerve or something. And it's put me in kind of grumpy mood. I have to start playing tomorrow. Another crazy thing that happened today. This morning I woke up, I had a message from the organizer of my tournament where I'm playing tomorrow. And they were like, oh, one of the players had to drop out of the Grandmaster tournament. Is it okay if you play in the GM group? And I'm like, yes, okay, I can play in the GM group. Yes, a real tournament. And then like an hour later, they're like, well, no, there's only a 50% chance because we have this player from Slovakia who might be able to play or not. Well, and then of course, like I'm not playing in GM. So they just like got me all excited for nothing that I might play in a real tournament this week. Can you ask for my game to be analyzed first? Yes, you can ask. As my 7th grade English teacher, you may ask. Very well phrased, Warnaki. You're not even like a first language English speaker, right? May I ask? You didn't say, can I ask? That's what my 7th grade English teacher went crazy. She was obsessed with this. She'd be like, I don't know, can you? May I ask? You absolutely may. And I would be honored to do your game first, Warnaki. Why'd they have to tease me with the Grandmaster tournament? To get paid to play in a GM tournament, which I would normally have to pay an entry fee to play in. Because I'm such a rare commodity, the value of foreign international masters goes way up during coronavirus pandemic. But unfortunately, looks like, anything could happen. Like somebody else could bail out tomorrow, but looks like I'm gonna be playing the bunny group, anyways. So, all right. So Warnaki first. We'll do Warnaki first. That's fine with me. Did anybody send a game in that I didn't get? Here's Warnaki. Did you remind them that your chess.com profile says your GM strength? It does? Really? I don't know, Bob. The last time I updated my chess.com profile was probably like 2014 or something. Whenever they came out with that site. I mean, I think I created a profile there before I realized how much I hated it. It probably also says that I'm handsome and smart as well. So congratulations to Warnaki on his grammar. Well, for the stream I brought the, and he says the, T-H-E-E, Old English style, a la Shakespeare. The majestic I am, majestic. This beautiful game with a couple of deranged sacks that won it over. Unfortunately, it was played in the evil chess site. But you can't have everything in life, can you? I love the way that the Warnaki phrases these things. All right, Mr. Cautious against Warnaki. Now these evil chess site ratings are kind of deflated. It looks like Warnaki's a little stronger than 1,000 lichess. All right, so we're playing black actually. A5. I speaketh with fork and tongue. Fork and tongue. Sorry guys, I'm getting ahead of ourselves here. We got a challenge from somebody. What's that? King Liar. Not tonight, honey. I have a headache. Alright. I've got a message. DK guy, if you need entries. We need entries. Guys, this sadly is my last stream until next Wednesday. Unless there's like a miracle. There's always a chance of a sudden spontaneous stream. But the plan is I start my tournament tomorrow and we won't be streaming, but I think next Wednesday we'll have a kind of morning stream just to calm everyone down. Next week, Wednesday morning, there will be a stream. So it's going to be a little bit of withdrawal syndrome symptoms. D4, D6, E3, E3. Okay, whatever. E3 is not a big deal. Is Warnaki a kid? I don't think so, Bob. Speaking like that. Kovalenko. So C5 is a weird choice, but it's certainly not bad. I don't know why it's bad. Nothing wrong with C5, I suppose. I think E3 is the first questionable move, kind of passive, but alright. Technically, there could be a problem here with takes, Queen A5 check, Knight C3, but I think Queen C5 may not be that bad. Turn off this engine, which is probably lagging my stream. Pedro Antoni says, what? They might pay you to play in the candidates. They're going to pay me to be a commentator for the candidates, I heard. You're going to get Bob excited, Juicebox. Donald Trump as well. Very vague references today. Alright. We'll have a Steve Bannon is arrested celebratory stream. Alright, anyway. E3, C5, C3. What happened here? Alright, this is correct, right? C3. I had the feeling it's going to turn into kind of regular Kali system. Why is that so bad, by the way, though? Like, I don't see any serious problem here. Takes, Queen A5 check, Knight C3, Queen takes C5. I mean, what does White have here? E4 is probably his best move. When it feels like he's a tempo down on some kind of legit position. I mean, how bad can this be? Like Knight F6, Bishop E3, Queen A5. George Hickel, the master of 1G3, even managed to win this position with black. What sexual terms? We certainly didn't bring up any sexual terms. Certainly not. All right. F3. We try to keep it clean here, Bob. We'll wait for Michael Cohen's book. I haven't read it yet. But anyway. So, let's see. C3, very passive. Knight F6. See, the problem is now he can really take. Now, if he does that, Warnocki, I have a suggestion for you. Does anybody know what to do after pawn takes pawn? There's no mega stream battle this week. You might be stronger without me. Thanks, man. Maybe that's true. I am pretty bad at 3-0. Welcome, guys, to the stream. No, I mean, okay. Yeah, probably White's setup is so passive that this is okay for Black. That's true. But you have an interesting alternative. You could play d5 and try to play it like a semi-Slav. It's like a note boom variation with colors reversed. This idea exists in the C3 Sicilian as well. I have a friend who plays this, the farmer. Plays the d6 variation against the c3. In this line, after knight f6, bishop d3, there's actually a variation with like g6, pawn takes pawn, and now this is maybe not a lot of games, but I suggest even maybe d5 here. Played twice by Norwegian Grandmaster Kato Lee. Not absurd. It's also possible to just flat out sack a pawn. Sack a ponda. Probably David Norwood did something like this once, I saw. But I don't know. There's some interesting ideas there. So simply similar ideas. You don't have to take back. You might be able to play it as a regular sort of gambit by pushing the pawn past. Something to consider. The evil sight. Man, White couldn't play any more passive. So g6 or knight c6. Knight c6 is... You got to be a little careful with knight c6 because, I mean, he could push on you later on, and then the knight might be... You might have to go to the a5 square. Don't say it out loud or you might get excited. Knight c6, knight f3, g6. I am concerned that White will play e4 at some point. This is ultra passive. I mean, eventually he's going to have to play e4. He's going to run out of other moves. He's going to find the right idea. So, uh-oh. There goes the long diagonal. There's still nothing really clear. And I don't really like exchanging pawns necessarily. So I guess you're right to just castle. And then what does Warnocki do? He does a file. Yeah, it's kind of a frustrating position to play against. I had a London system with Xerox yesterday where he did something kind of similar with White. He just refused to do anything. A5 doesn't look appropriate here. I hate to burst your bubble, Warnocki. But I don't like it. I don't like it. B5 looks weak. You're not really threatening A4. It just doesn't seem appropriate. I think in order for A5 to work, you probably have to get in B5 first. But I'm not sure what objectively you should play. I would consider A6 with the idea of B5 and maybe like bishop E7 to fianchetto. I can't draw a straight line. And Alpha 0 with H5. I think I like H5 better than A5 in this particular position. It's a close call, DK guy. A5 is obviously less risky to the black king. But I'm concerned Warnocki that you're going to lose this square permanently. B5. You know, that may be very annoying. It's like a Slav type of position. If you have no control over b5 whatsoever, it could really be a thorn in your side. Potential outpost for white long term. Who knows? You know, maybe later on he'll position a knight on b5. I just don't really like losing that square forever. No, b5 doesn't work, unfortunately, because he just takes it. Maybe something like rook b8 with the idea of b5 is a good prep move. Or as I said, a6. There's certainly a lot of other moves. I don't hate d5. You feel like you may be feeling like you're committed to... This is basically a Catalan. This is a Catalan, Holmes, with the colors reversed, where white has played a super slow move, h3. Such gambits with white in the Catalan are very, very common. I mean, if I was white, I'm not sure I'd want to take that pawn on c5. Schieberspieler would definitely want to take this, but I would have some reservations. You know, it's risky to give up one strong point on d4. So I think you should seriously consider d5, bishop f5, rook b8, a6, all those moves. Another interesting move is e5, but that looks a little weak because of the square on d6. I'd be a little concerned about the d6, d5 squares. Not to say it's not possible. The other problem with this is that you reach like a totally symmetrical pawn structure. I'm not super crazy about this and the weakness of these squares, potentially. Sorry. a5 is kind of dubious, and that's a good move, I would think. The computer gave him a dubious, but a4, come on, I mean, it makes sense. I don't agree with the engine there. Now rook e8. But I think rook e8 is a mistake, because rook e8 requires you to play e5, and e5 probably not the right idea here. You've seriously reduced the flexibility in your position a lot by playing a5. Maybe queen c7. You could play e5. If you want to play e5, you could play it directly. Although I don't think this is a bad move, per se. Very passive by white. And now e5. And now, like, he probably should take... Because if you are allowed to play e4, I'm beginning to be concerned that you have too much space. Even so, white's position is probably still solid. Normally, I would say this move might be a mistake, but the point is that he can play maybe e4 himself to prevent you from playing e4. And I'm thinking that white might have knight c4 coming in here. But the game is complicated. You have counterplay potentially with knight h5. However, he could even play g3. The fact that he's not castled might actually favor white. He could play like g3, in example, here, with the idea of manually castling, with king f1, king g2, keeping h3 protected, and just making your knight look stupid. In the end, white is better because white could take over d5. It's a totally strategic game. We're playing for total control of d5, ownership of d5. It's a King's Indian in reverse, or Old Indian in reverse type position. You're also going to be sorry that you lost your b5 square. So he has outposts and you don't in this position. That's the problem. You don't have any outposts, and white does. So not ideal. But he doesn't make that exchange, and now bang. It's a whole different ballgame now. I mean, black just has more space. I still don't really like the b5 square, but I'll take it. Big question now if white plays knight e1 or knight h2. Knight e1 is much more standard. It's a standard plan in the Catalan to play knight e1 and recirculate this knight back to c2 toward the center. You know, he might even, it's a long-winded plan, but he might even head for b5. the turtle maneuver. But once the turtle gets to b5, you know, he's got some serious biting on d6. Have you ever... I used to have a snapping turtle. I had to pick him up with oven mitts. It was a serious turtle. So this is, it's a fairly close position. Probably not too slow in a close position. So he chooses the Igor's Rousis setup. Before the pre-computer Igor's Rousis played a Catalan like this against me. I never saw anyone go to h6 and knight h7, because the knight has no future here. I mean g4, but what does that do? The knight is just bad on h2. So I like your position better now. h5 is tempting, DK guy, but I'm starting to think, like, I half wonder if we should even bother. I was thinking really crazy stuff. Like, maybe if he plays knight g4, we move our knight away and hit him with f5. But objectively, h5 is a totally standard move. Yeah. King's Indian attack. Knight h7, queen g5. Bring everything over to the king's side. h5 definitely needs to be considered. I would love to put my queen on g5. It's like a winnower. Blobix, if he were here, would be considering ways of putting this knight on h4. That's a great plan. The knight transfer from e7 to f5 to h4, and queen g5 with the very strong kingside assault. But it's kind of standard Bobby Fischer King's Indian attack type of stuff. It's not exactly a King's Indian attack. This is a Catalan, a closed Catalan. You know, but there are similarities between the closed Catalan, the way you attack with your space advantage in this type of position. There are similarities. The pawn shove, like you say you're not a King's Indian attack player, but I mean this is a totally standard King's Indian attack plan. It's not really a Catalan, by the way, because you didn't play d5. You are essentially playing something more akin to the King's Indian attack here. So knight e5 is interesting, freeing the queen. And that move is just suicide. I wanted to play f5 anyway. So I'm not playing bishop to h4. You're going to just smash him with the kingside trash compactor. f5. This is game over, isn't it? Not quite, but I mean, you want to make sure your knight is protected here. Man, I'm even thinking about sacking a piece on c3. You have so many interesting possibilities. You have a super strong attack on the king side. I'm a little concerned about the knight being unprotected on d5. But this exchange, it's kind of a bad bishop, and it frees your back rank, which I like. And your pawns are primarily on white squares, but I just don't really like exchanging pieces at all with the space advantage like you have here. It's still not a bad move. It's just not as strong as f5. So it's really pretty ugly, but he has to take, it looks like he has to take with the pawn just to slow down the pawn, what I call the trash compactor. It's such a strong attack, man, after f5. It's awful. Like, his knight has no squares. And he can't play f3 without fatally weakening his e3 square, but it's still the best move. He's playing into your hands now. I mean, it appears like f5 with this irresistible roller. It's not like you win immediately, but I mean, it's a matter of time until the proverbial poo-poo hits the fan here. He can make some prophylactic moves like king h1, I guess, to try to prepare for the worst. But another strong plan, which you might have implemented, was exchanging pawns here and then implanting a knight on d3. That's devastating. I didn't see what happened. So he actually played cd. This is not essential, by the way, to play f5 right away. Your move is okay. And I agree, because if he takes with the other pawn, knight f4. So this was actually the wrong knight, it looks like. Your knight is super strong here on d5. It could potentially be part of a sacrifice. I think knight cb4, because your c knight isn't really doing anything. The cb4, cb-bbs, cb4, cd3, or bd3. Man, this looks very promising in tandem with f5. Juicebox Wizard, have a good sleep. Count your sheep. We'll see you later. Next stream next Wednesday, barring a surprise stream. Yeah, because I think your knight is pretty on d5. It's an excellent blockader. It's in the game. It could be part of this attack. The other knight is kind of a mystery, though. I was talking about knight here, knight here, knight here, but it's difficult. It's kind of difficult to implement that. You could maybe play something like queen d7, queen e6, and then this fancy maneuver like knight e7, knight f5, knight h4. But it takes a long time. You'd have to find a way to transfer the knight without dropping your pawn on e4. In fact, maybe you could play it right away. You could play this, because he can't take on e4 because of f5. But it's less natural. This is a really good plan. Okay, this isn't bad. The problem is he has his tactic, right? Something like knight takes e4. Oh, you played d5. You're still clearly better. You're still clearly better. You know, potentially he can put his knight here, but he's going to lose a pawn. d5 is good as well. This knight is really perversely bad on g4. So I don't blame him for playing what he played. Bishop takes, knight takes, with knight coming in here. Space advantage is massive. Knight b1. Wow. Now that shows some skill. Positional decision making to get to b5. How did the chicken cross the road to get to b5? You got to be a little urgent here, because if you give him enough tempi, he's going to sort of create a defensive position that he can hold. You don't have like forever to attack him now. The main idea is f5, f4. You waited long enough, and now he's going to try to trade off your knight. That's alright, you're not going to change pieces. Change booth. And now you just did a really bad thing. You traded your monster knight. Tartakover says a knight outposted on the 6th said is like winning strategically. Sit down, what? Thought. Game analysis. Try thinking. Because most people don't understand what that is anymore in terms of chess. But, no, knight b1 was a good idea. It just may be too slow. But this is a disaster. Your natural plan here is to crush him down the f-file. I'm a little concerned he can try to blockade with maybe f4. The other possibility is that you can go down here and try for a second front. Maybe you alternate the threats along the f-file with threats along the c-file. The principle of two weaknesses. This a5 pawn might prove to be like an annoying point. You have to play b6 at some point to protect it. Queen d2, b6. But I would primarily be focused on trying to just kill him on the f-file with f4. So you went here. This is a very, very bad mistake. Your knight on d3 is extremely strong. I mean, in fact, like, he might play knight e1 to try to get rid of it, at which time I would strongly consider playing knight b4. That's probably your best plan. One of your best plans. Do anything you can to avoid trading pieces here. So, You're better here, but your advantage is smaller than it was. Now the C file. I think probably the A rook. Your E rook has a little bit of influence in this position from where it stands. Now he's trying to trade pieces full on. So this looks like a good move. Now he's totally passive. Still not easy to break through. And now a very natural move, rook c2. But he might exchange more pieces. If he can exchange all the heavy pieces off, he'll probably draw. It's also possible he could get a perpetual check or something if he get his queen into your side of the board. So like this move followed by this may be the best. Rook c2 also looks strong. I thought he was going to trade rooks with rook e2. Now you might want to incorporate f4, but you've got to watch this queen popping into your position. So I don't think that white has any threats here. You pretty much have him tied up maximally. It's a really long plan, but I mean I would consider something like bishop e6, bishop b8, and the acerbate queen battery with queen d6. If you have all the time in the world now. Still not that easy, but this is nuts. It's a really nice idea. It does look a little over the top. Bishop takes d4, pawn d4, queen d4, rook e2. Man, I mean, it might even work. But it seems like there's much more steady ways of winning this. This is a very dramatic way to try to win the game. Interesting. Well, clearly he has to play rook e2. You have compensation for the sacrificed piece. Computer says knight e4. But I mean, what is this, like a pawn down for white? I'm not sure he's not lost here. Oh, he has knight f6 check. Probably knight f6 check to like worsen your structure. And then after king f7, rook takes d1, and now both rooks may be pretty active. King f6, perhaps something like rook takes d5, rook takes b3, but he's got a lot of checks and counterplay. There's a good chance this is a draw. If he played it the other way, interestingly, if that ever happened, you took with this pawn, if you could maintain this pawn on e4, I would think like you would still have huge chances to win. You'd also he'd face threats like this with doubling on the 7th. White would be very hard pressed to save a draw. But I mean, obviously, why not rook e2? I mean, do you have something here with e3? Do you have a crazy tactic? I mean, f4 looks pretty strong. I guess you have enough compensation. But I'm not sure you're winning. This was a really unnecessary sacrifice. I called it creative. But steady play here should be enough. His knight has no squares. You're doubled on the file. You're on the 7th rank. It's just a little frustrating, hard to break through. But steady, gradual play, you should be able to break him down. This is an interesting move the computer's pointing out. I think part of the idea is to come in here. If you can maneuver, there are various maneuvers you could do. Queen a6, queen a6, queen d3. Lots of good stuff. Anyway, Warnaki, cheers. It was a creative idea. Let's see what happened. Take, take, and he just like does this. So he's desperately trying to do queen b5, but he's toast after rook f2. He's just down 2 pawns in a heavy piece ending now. So this is slightly more devastating. Pigs on the 7th. No way White survives after that. E3 looks pretty good too, but it's not quite as sure. I mean, you're up 2 pawns, but there's margin for error here. You don't have the monster pawn on e4. Your king could fall into a perpetual check. His king is momentarily safe. Your pass pawn isn't that close, so you're going to have to play really accurately. Generally speaking, he shouldn't trade pieces down 2 pawns. But again, any kind of queen in game requires good technique. This pass pawn should be winning. You should have enough safety for your king. Important to remember though, very, very key principle in queen endings is like not only like centralization of the queen, but I think that's one of the things. The other one is king's centralization. Active king. This position is so good for you though, with that powerful pawn, that you probably don't even need to play with an active king. I think the pawn just wins by itself. You have to just avoid perpetual check. Queen e5 is good. And it's just ridiculous. Like, of course he can't trade queens. It's over. So he could have put up some resistance. I mean, but objectively you were probably winning. The g5 is the easiest win here. This is also game over. Okay, good game. But generally a good game. So that was, as usual, a really long first game for our analysis stream. When I get started, I really get started. You like the bishop sack? My friend David used to say that the younger Sladgie, aka me, before I was the boring technical grinder that I am today, he would fault me. Warnaki 500 for gratitude. 10 emotes shared. Yeah, there's a new promotion, guys. If you make a large donation by bits, we got emotes unlocked for the new promotion on Twitch. My friend used to say that I preferred unclear to slight advantage. You know, I think that's what you're doing there. You're like, oh, I'd rather do something crazy than just win the game with steady play. Objectively, if you're having fun, if you're being artistic, Astrobate tends to do that a lot too. If the goal is to win the game, we have to try to cut down on these unnecessary sacrifices. I admit it was kind of a frustrating position to break through in, though. Very closed. But if you're not comfortable with that, then probably shouldn't go into that type of position. Something more open, maybe. Alright, so next up is Princess. Thank you, Warnaki, for the donation of 500 bits. We've had no gift subs this week, guys, but Astrobates donated 800. Warnaki now with 550. Bob with 352. HTFP with 200. Chess is the best game with 101. Jim and Mr. Coffee with 100 each. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. This will be my last stream until next Wednesday. I am playing in over-the-board tournaments starting tomorrow every day, and I'll keep you guys posted. Astrobate with 500 bits. Also 10 emotes shared. Bang. Thank you guys. Thank you, Astrobate. New promotion and new emotes. So sadly, I won't be streaming till next Wednesday. Next Wednesday morning is the next stream. And from next Sunday, the schedule goes back to normal. Astrobate just tempted by the new emotes. Alright, Princess Chess sent in a game. She was the first one, I think. I didn't get to her game last week. There was some confusion. So let's try this game for next Thursday. A shorter time control, but a little more open than what I usually send. No closed Sicilian, please. No closed Sicilian London systems. Alright, let's check this out. Black is black. White is white. Princess Chess is black. 1510 rated Rapid 1 week ago. Thank you guys for the support. Alright, I'm a little bit long-winded on these early games. I'm trying to speed up a little. Princess Chess is black here. She's pretty good with white as far as the openings go. It seems like she needs a little more work with black, as everybody does. Need to probably spend more time on black because you're at a disadvantage. Frankly, I think my black openings are better prepared than my white ones. Well, we have that luxury, you know. It's more important to be prepared. Against e4 with black probably is our number one problem. Guys, welcome to the stream. Don't forget to tell your pets, family, and friends about my stream, where we do focus on serious chess and improving at all levels. Absolute beginners up until masters. I try to appeal to everyone universally. E4, E5, C4. Wow. Wow. C4, E5, E4. Highly unusual move by white. I'm appealing to my sense of romanticism here. It depends on what kind of player you are. I kind of like F5. Simon Kim Williams. What a surprise. But F5. I mean, objectively, this is a tempo down King's Gambit. It's a little bit much. I mean, C4 is not so bad, but I guess it's a little too much. Only Simon Williams would play that. It's playable. If you like the King's Gambit, roll the dice with F5. Germany is going to pass law. You have to walk your dog twice a day. Wow. Wonder if any other countries have laws like that. That's kind of really getting into people's lives. Telling them exactly how many times they have to walk their dogs. The other possibility I like, of course, is knight f6. But I find bishop c5 appealing. In a classical kind of way. We're threatening queen h4? Perhaps? The problem with bishop c5, I guess, would be knight f3. Exactly twice. If you take them out 3 times, they take you to the police station. So, 3 times the charm. Larry Day versus Vanderbilt. Alright, let's see what Princess Chess did. Princess Chess, who's a closed Sicilian player, you would think like the closed Sicilian player here would automatically play like knight c6 and be like in heaven. I'm playing the closed Sicilian with black, yes. You gotta like it, right? This is weird for a close Sicilian player, but that's the thing. Is black playing against e4, or is it the English? We don't know. You know, it's a funny position. See, he tricked her. He played e4 on the first move, so she didn't realize it was Sicilian. But anyways, knight f6 is a good move. Unfortunately, it cuts out any possibility of f5, but we have another break we might play. If white's too slow, I want to smack him with like c6 and d5. Possibly If you really want to be creative, I mean, I haven't seen someone on sound. I'm a little worried about him. I hope he's okay. But if you really want to go with a full-on Bob's favorite, Mark Esserman, I don't know that it's completely out of the question to play d5 here. It's the Mora Gambit, you know, with black. Might be interesting. If you're into that kind of thing, you can play the Mora Gambit with black. But I like knight f6, it's very principled. Now knight c3, and this creepy crawly c4, e4, knight c3. Alright. So, knight c3 is a good move, obviously. And I'm thinking about c6 playing for d5, but white will hit you with knight f3. So I'm afraid c6 might be too slow. I had a game like that with Hikaru. The game where he like knocked over all the pieces and won and drew by time when I had queen and king versus king. I think we had this line like c6. This was my game against Hikaru, the one where I almost beat him. I should have beat him, but he was like banging the clock and knocking over all the pieces in the live blitz tournament. This is not really good. Better for white after knight f3. So you have to be careful here not to try too hard to punish white. Bishop c5 looks really solid. Knight c6 looks correct. But clock banging. It's well, it's not just Nakamura. I mean, he's basically, it's Nakamura, Chess 24, and Magnus Carlsen all rolled into one. It's a pretty big audience. But Bishop e4 from Princess Chess. I just don't know what the best move is here. I'm tempted to play Bishop c5. This I like a little bit better. But what are we going to do? So this isn't good. See, this is the key. White can't play knight f3 because you have knight g4 legit. It's the fried liver. d4, pawn takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight takes f2. Game over. It's called the whale. This whale is cooked, man. But I like bishop c5. It's really fundamental. I think that's probably best. She played bishop e4. Not quite as strong. So knight e2. g3 is a move here. I wonder. Yeah, Carlsen Caruana. It's basically a Rossalimo reversed now. So I think this was the key. The best line. Alright, here, here. And d3 is really slow. Chom managed to draw with Anand. d3 looks unnecessary and slow. You're asking for the Esserman gambit again. I guess that doesn't work here because of queen a4 check. No. Castles. But I like this better for black because you could break it up. You might really be threatening d5 now. But if nothing else, maybe c6 is a legit setup. d3 is too slow. c6 immediately, probably fine. My former teammate, Pali Petran, has a game. Very good player. Strongest IMs ever not to become a GM. Knight f3. And this is unnecessary. Unnecessary. So Princess Chess can play more dynamically here by castling. The potential of breaking with d5 is so... It's amazing. No way I would take that pawn on e5. You're just asking to get blown apart. 4, 5, 6, 7 games, no one dared to take this pawn. It probably doesn't lose outright, you know, knight takes e5. But your attack is so strong. This break is so strong. Black just completely steals the initiative. Alright. No discussing the boring match here. This is serious analysis of subscriber games. c6, knight f3, and queen c7. Now you're going to end up playing some kind of old Indian. Black lost the initiative with this move. Lifeless. The queen is also on a bad square. It's like one of those Caruana systems with bishop b5 and queen. No. He does this like c3, queen c2 in the Sicilian or whatever. No, I like white now after queen c7. But luckily white played a3, which is lame. Totally lame. You could consider bringing the bishop back, but I guess this is correct. Now what do we do? I'm going to turn off the engine here. Wait, what's that? The naming of a prominent opening? Oh, yeah. Because openings of chess names of openings are so official. Native Americans... According to ancient aliens, Native Americans were playing chess first. So d5, all records have been erased. B takes C, they learned from aliens, which later taught the Persians to play chess. Unfortunately, all available game scores have been lost. B takes C. So what do we do now? Do we play blockade strategy, or are we trying to blast open the game? Your queen is badly placed here. In the event of d5, however... So this looks very familiar to me now. It looks like something I would play like where I was playing the Rossolimo on the black side with white. d5 opening it up. Looks like the right try. She did it. There would also be a school of thought that would say, okay, double pawns, blockade, but black doesn't really have the right setup for that. This is 100% right. Now white has to mitigate not letting his pawn structure get blown apart. And this is also useful that the queen will now open up here. Man, there's no obvious move for white. Probably even something crazy like this is conceivable. I would be so reluctant to let this queen improve its prospects. Even 92 is considered a move for white here. But, alright, open the position for the two bishops. And this is why chess is so hard, because of positions like this. Black is ahead in development, but white has the two bishops. If you have a lead in development, you're supposed to open the position. If you have the two bishops, you're supposed to open the position. So who's right here, right? The side with the two bishops or the side with lead in development? In the short term, opening the position favors black, but in the long term, opening the position should favor white, who has the bishop pair. But now is the short term, so Princess Chess should benefit, but she has to benefit quickly before those bishops really get working. Structurally, black is better. I've played this kind of position a lot with black. I don't know that this is an immediate threat. So white plays e takes d5, and he may be right to do so. White could do something like mirror image, but the queen is even worse than black's queen now on c2. I kind of like this move. Pawn takes pawn. under the circumstances. Knight takes c5, and now the magic moment. Maybe white should sack a pawn. I was really hoping we could defend with some sort of tactic, but after bishop d2, man, I mean, hold on a second here. Can we actually take that pawn? Guys, welcome to my analysis stream. International Master William Pascal. We've got to thank you guys for your support. This is a real, actual gameplay by one of our subscribers. Can black take this pawn? Knight takes rook c1. Knight takes rook c7. Joker's wild. Snoop Dogg. I don't know. e5's hanging. White is the bishop pair. Looks like it's alright to me. Knight b2. Oof. So I don't think you would take the pawn. I think you don't take the pawn and you complete your development. Castle, and then probably something like b6, bishop b7, and then due to the alignment of your queen, I would normally put my knight on c6, but because your queen is on c7, I would consider other plans. Maybe knight d7, knight c5, something like that, to put pressure on the white hanging pawns. I know from experience the structure is tricky. White should probably maneuver something like queen b3, queen b2, try to keep all the squares protected. I have lost structures like this with white side, but c4 is really, really bad for white structurally. Very brittle water filters. So we would rather not play c4. Knight e7, and I'm liking black. Now we have to be thoughtful what we do. Eventually white might break out with d4, at which point the bishop pair may compensate for white's inferior structure. But if black could somehow prevent d4 permanently, then white might just be permanently worse. So I'm thinking knight f5 with attempting for complete and total ownership of the d4 vacation spot. There are obviously more than one way to play this. Even bishop g4, which is a move I told Acerbate never to do, that would nevertheless fight for control. But I was going to speak in Hungarian. Nézd meg. Like, look at this. Knight takes e5. This kind of tactic you could fall for. Knight takes c5, knight takes c5, bishop takes g4. Pretty messy situation. And the bishop c, the bishops could start to just really rake. You've got to be careful about bishop g4. I was showing Acerbate a similar idea with bishop f5 in a similar structure in the Philidor. This is an idea. You might want to just put preliminary pressure on that. Preparing something like rook d8 with suffering for the rest of your natural life. White should probably break out before it's too late. I would suggest white to break out. There's still stuff with queen a5 check, though. You know, he may not have time. Maybe he has to get the king out of the center and then bang. Black is better, you know, and I just don't see a great future for white here. It looks really ugly. So Princess Chess played f6. This is fine, and it's kind of a normal move, blotting out that bishop on b2, but I think the key is the d4. You know, white gets in d4, and he's not really... It's not bad for white anymore. You know, the pawn structure will will be compensated by the bishop pair. I would probably just kind of give up hope and play pawn takes pawn here. After knight takes, I mean, it would be nice if we could pin him. I don't think it's quite going to work because of knight b5, among other things. I would probably just bail out with black and play something like this. And I would evaluate this position as approximately equal. I think white's bishop pair probably compensates for the structural disadvantage. So Princess Chess didn't have to play f6. She could have played something a little more aggressive, I guess, on the previous move. This is a little aggressive. This may be too aggressive. Now I'm curious if black... I mean, this is a really wild move. Now we're going into the twilight zone. Like, total chaos now. If Princess Chess has to win against a lower-rated player, I guess maybe it might be worth rolling the dice here. But white's pawns look pretty freaking dangerous, in my opinion. You know, I think they might even be more dangerous than black's pawn on e4. It's a very double-edged game, but if you try to start advancing your pawns, I mean, that bishop could just rake black on the long diagonal over the coals. These bishops could become really, really powerful. So e4, risky move. White has to think about it. I don't know which square is better for the knight. And now bishop f5, but that's awkward. This is very awkward. We're now interfering with our own pawn majority. And I don't think that black has any realistic threats here. I would say now white is clearly better. Knight b3, rook d8, playing for tactical tricks. Maybe we have it. Maybe white has a nice move here, something like queen e1. I'm pinning. That looks like a really nice idea. Black now has knight e5, and I think maybe she should go for it because I don't have a better plan. I mean, another thing black could do is try to trade pieces with something like knight a5, but ultimately white's bishop pair is superior. This is just like routine, but white is better. And then white played this move, which is double-edged. I don't know. I don't really want to trade the bishop pair off for white. In general, if you have the bishop pair and black has a pair of knights, black should be the one trying to trade off your bishop, trade off her lone bishop. So this move looks weird, you know. Fundamentally, that should be a good exchange for black. So the whole game, like, just totally turns to black now. I guess it's still relatively imbalanced, but white's bishop pair is out the window. The hanging pawns look like they're not that dangerous anymore. The queen and knights are very active. I think like this whole bishop g4 thing just threw white's position down the toilet. And now d5, obviously knight e5, threatening knight d3 with a massive outpost. White is losing ground fast here. Knight d4, bishop d4. And now, I don't know. I mean, we've got knight d3, which is almost irresistible. Knight takes pawn, which would break up white's pawn structure. And the move she played in the game, which is like b6, basically just maintaining the status quo. I think black is spoiled for choice here with a clear advantage. It's difficult to say which is the best move. This is like the least aggressive of the options. I mean, I don't think we should give white a chance to play bishop takes e5 in this position. You missed a lot, Princess Chess. I don't think that white should be given a chance to exchange bishop for knight now. You've got queen versus a queen and knight tandem in this position. That is very dangerous for white. I mean, this looks extremely difficult to resist, honestly. Knight d3. I guess, theoretically, your knight could get undermined by f3, so you have to be a little careful. It may be a little trickier than I thought. Something like here, rook c2. White is threatening f3, maybe. But it's very complicated. I think black is better, no doubt. You got all kinds of choices. This is like a quiet move. Yeah, I mean, in a blitz game, I would just instantly play bishop takes e5 without even thinking about it. The knight is just too dangerous. It's on c4. It's coming into d3. It could get to g4 and checkmate me. I would so quickly take that knight on e5. You don't even, like, you can't even see it. It would be invisible. But he doesn't respect the knight in this position. Queen f5, queen a4. Even queen d7 is a good move. I think that white is probably losing a pawn here by force. Maybe not. He can go back. But anyway, I like black. Knight d3. Blockading c5 with a pawn roller, possibly. And white made a lot of mistakes. Black made some decisions that may or may not have been the best, but no like clear big mistakes. Now c5, yeah. Yeah, this is a problem. I'm afraid now like white is too many threats. The A pawn, the B pawn, the back rank. It's probably like equal. We have to be careful now. Just when I thought that black had to be careful, she plays knight d3. Like a psychotically active move. Does anybody know what's happening after pawn takes b6? I mean, I would just play this. And I guess, you know, you're probably okay. But not really better. Hey, Schieberspieler, what's up? Your tournament start today? I was under the impression that you were playing today. Was that misconceived? You got 1 out of 1. Just one game. Okay. Good job. How strong was your opponent? So this is a crazy move. Now, can white play pawn takes b6 here? Can white play pawn takes b6? Because I'm a little concerned about that. Oh my god. Rook takes rook. I mean, I imagine in this kind of scenario, I mean, maybe we're going to lose a pawn on d5 with white. Even that may be a draw, because as Schieberspieler knows, bishops are better than knights in the endgame. I think the chances for white holding this are pretty good. But I was wondering about something even crazier. Does white have anything crazy like rook takes? It probably wouldn't do a lot, though. You could just like take back here. It's a little bit crazy. But I feel like it was dangerous to play knight d3. Yeah, so the computer confirms... It confirms cb6 was rather important for white to play here. Kind of important to do this. Like, otherwise you may be in trouble. He just played that. There's a fork on b2. Oh my god. I think a queen sack is a bit much after this. I'll take that exchange. Yeah, and white just missed the boat completely. Has to play pawn takes b6. This is a 1510 rapid game that you played against Chessing 2030. Man, you missed this. It's really obvious. I guess this isn't a bad move either, but I'm a little nervous with just a pawn. I'd like to get that exchange in the bank. Actually, we don't need... Yeah, we get a pawn. But again, I think it's likely still good chances for white to draw. The bishop's pretty good. It's controlling the queening square. White has a good structure. The a pawn and the c pawn are isolated. This is a really tough position to win. That was fun. Luckily, everything's protected. Wow, hello. 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 I don't know, I might prefer to go to f8 here. I'm not feeling particularly well on g6. I guess I vote for f8 if I'm given the choice. Yeah, fair enough. So that was a back and forth game, Princess Chess. Check out the analysis. We did a very in-depth analysis of this game. You bought us. No game submission. Alright. Now we're on to our next game. Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow's not around. What's up, HTFP? Crush the 1700. Good job, Schieberspieler. Keeping us... No, we just got here. Late because of exhaustion. Exhaustion sleep. Exhaustion sleep causing exhaustion. Sheep counting. Alright. We're just picking up some viewers now due to exhaustion sleep. No, you're right on time, Mr. Slow. We're just about to start your game. Perfect. So that's the first time ever someone arrived just in time for their game. For Thursday subscriber analysis, you're curious about what you think about our last Simul game. Oh no. Oh, Schieberspieler, by the way, 9 o'clock this morning, the organizer of the tournament sent me a text message that one of the players in the GM tournament can't play because his father passed away. And I got all excited that I was going to get to play in the GM tournament. But then an hour later, they were like, oh, well, maybe we have a chance to find a Slovakian 2480. And then a couple hours later, they're like, yeah, you're going to have to play in the Bunny tournament. I'm sorry. So I very briefly thought I was going to get to play in the GM tournament, which just sucks. I just would rather play in a stronger tournament. Now I'm stuck with the rejects in the B tournament. But that's what I get for having a stupid rating. If I had a decent rating, I would be playing in a GM tournament tomorrow. Because I have an embarrassing rating, I have to play in the Bunny tournament. Punishment. The punishment will never end. Alright, so this is Mr. Slowhand playing black. Exhaustion sheep. Yeah, exhaustion sleep sounds suspiciously like Google Translate terminology. I don't know about German, but Google Translate in Hungarian is awful. It doesn't even come close. Some things sound so ridiculous. Probably all less popular languages are like that. I'm sure that their translate for German, Spanish, French, and English is all pretty good. But a second tier language like Hungarian, it's ridiculously bad. Alright, so Mr. Slowhand is playing black against me here in the French. This was an interesting game. It'll be kind of cool to see it come from black's perspective. I didn't know who I was playing when I played the opening here. This was Zen mode, Simul. Zen mode in the opening in the Simul. I played 92, Atarash in another game. Yes, Mr. Coffee is... Mr. Coffee was in Nam. Bob. Bishop e4. He's like 70. He did a couple tours in Nam. Alright. Knight c3, bishop b4, e5. I'm playing white here in a winnower. Your dad was in Nam? That's funny. Not funny, but it's funny that you're actually in the service, but your dad was in the service too. So c5, a3, and then bishop takes c3. Mainline winnower. I'm playing white, and I don't like to play against the winnower that much, and I don't know enough theory. But queen c7, okay, so I've actually done some analysis of some Botvinnik Smyslov games, but I can't remember anymore. I've analyzed so many games and so many videos, I don't remember what's what. And I haven't looked at this in a year or something. So I know, there's also, I told you guys when I did the game live, this game, there's an awesome match. There was an awesome match between Spassky and Tal. I guess a candidates match, candidates final. I don't remember what year. Spassky played like a wild man with white. You know, they had some cool games. Where Spassky like left his king on d1. Imagine playing like a maniac against Tal, you know. But Tal liked the French with black, actually. Some relative manner of surprise. I would always thought that was a little weird, given how aggressively inclined he was, that he liked to play the French with black sometimes. He had a pretty diverse opening repertoire. Tal did. But so, these lines with queen g4 are considered critical, but I couldn't remember that much theory. Asterbait, another 10 emote shared. Thank you, Asterbait. Get in all your donations today, guys, because we're not going to have a stream until next Wednesday. That looks like a Tetris. Hyperhex. Hyper Tetris. So I didn't want to play this, because f5 and f6, there's all these different variations that Botvinnik like experimented with. No Sunday simul, I'm sorry. I'll be playing chess during the Sunday simul. So I played the quiet move, knight f3. Black plays b6. And here I don't remember. I remember like Levente Vita came to the simul, or came to the stream while I was doing this game, and I got distracted on the next move, but somewhere in my subconscious I remember the line. I don't really know it very well. Alright, Schieberspieler, we'll see you later. Thank you for joining us. FIDE Master Schieberspieler. Definitely preparing for his next game. Thank you. So check. The idea with this is to like suck black into playing bishop d7 so he can't go out to a6. That's the plan. We get an emote. Mr. Slowhand Grind with 1800. Good luck for the tournament. 1800. Taking out, actually tying Asterbait for first place. He doesn't want to start a war. Very carefully calculated bit raise. Not to start a war. Just to maintain the nuclear balance from Mr. Slowhand. Carefully calculated 1800 in honor of my tournament. So, this is the plan. We got his bishop off so he can't go bishop a6. But now, according to the theory, like bishop a4 is the main line. I don't know what the difference is. He plays c4 right away. I mean, it's beyond my knowledge. Here I considered bishop f1. Smyslov did that in a similar position, I remember very clearly, with the idea of g3, bishop h3. Because honestly, the bishop doesn't have that many prospects at e2. So this should be considered. You can see here it was only played in one game. But it does make sense. I mean, ultimately, g3, bishop h3, with the idea of supporting advance f5, it's not a bad idea. I played bishop e2. I figured this was more standard. Now bishop a4, locking down the pawns. Black will typically put the king on the queen side in these type of lines. So it turns out that I played all the main line, which is even modern theory. Shirov is excellent, by the way, on the white side of the winnower. He may not be a perfect player. Speaking of Mikhail Tal, he was one of his teachers, but Shirov is excellent on the white side of the winnower. I saw a game he played a couple of years ago against really strong Indian woman. I can't remember what her name is. Not Humpy, but the other one. Isha Karavade? No, someone else. Strong Indian woman, and he just killed her in this closed kind of winnower where she castled queenside. Brilliant play by Shirov. I think I featured it in a game I did on chesslecture.com. But anyways, h4 turns out I'm right. I don't remember, you know. Now knight e7, h5. I mean, this is a very popular idea anyway in all winnower lines. It turns out that Shirov played a different move. What do we got? Oh, no. Okay, Nikolic played knight c6. They drew in 2006. Oh, that's interesting. So you varied from theory here with knight c6. I'm not sure about the significance of this. Nikolic has got a couple of games. Did he say what? Humpy. Yeah, Harika. It was Harika. Shirov just crushed her. Really nice game. Same thing. Black castle queenside. I don't think that Harika had the bishop a4 though. It was a different setup where she was locked the structure and played on the queen side. I think Alexei actually got in a4 in that game against her, with their ideas of like bishop a3 and stuff. Harika didn't have bishop a4. It was a different line with a similar structure. But I mean, Shirov really knows what he's doing here. So h5, and so what's the difference objectively with... I wonder why Mr. Slow's move is not played as much as knight c6. Actually, 4 games of knight c6. He's just transposing. There's actually 5 games of knight e7. Gayash Miklos from 2001. But the fact that Nikolic plays knight here makes me prefer that move. Nikolic is a huge player, although he's older now. He was like #1 in Yugoslavia. Okay, knight e7, h5, h6. This is standard. And now I even got the next move right, which is unbelievable. You must think that I'm cheating with the opening explorer or something, but I really didn't know. This is just on feel. Great minds think alike. Caruana didn't play it though. Caruana smacked that video guy. 2019. You know the guy who says like all of his videos will make you magically like 200 points stronger? Buy this video set for $300. It has a really nice box. So he got smacked down by Caruana in 2019. Learned how to get smacked down for $500. No, Anton Smirnov. He's like the master of marketing. I actually like Simon Williams. Okay, knight h4, knight c6. And so here I came up with theoretical novelty. But I was inspired by Shirov. Shirov's favorite move, rook h3. This is totally natural. I mean, I didn't really want to castle anyway. And the rook has good lateral scope, and we've got ideas of putting pressure on us. But I don't know, I guess fundamentally the main plan is playing f4, f5. But this is the move that most of the strong players played, bishop g4. But this is beyond me. I really have to know what I'm doing here to play bishop g4. I think rook h3 is natural. It's a new move. Now he castles queenside, which was the plan all along. Now rook g3, and then rook g8. And the plan is to use these pawns actively, which is pretty standard actually. But black has to be super careful about particularly the dark squares, because he doesn't have a dark square bishop in said position. This is a simul game against Mr. Slow. He's black, I'm white. The problem is I miss a really nasty tactic, and everything went haywire after that. I mean, I guess I should consider playing something like f4 here. That seems pretty natural. If I had to do over again with white, I mean, I'd really like to just do what I call the trash compactor with the pawns here, ultimately, but I have to kind of get developed. It's not that easy. f4, yeah, I mean, f4 is a natural move. It's going to be super hard to break it open, though. It's so closed, and my bishop on c1 is so restricted that it's difficult, you know, even with best play for white to break through. So I decided to just play something quick, you know, that he'd have to answer with rook f3. But he has this g5. I mean, I saw it. The problem is my knight is very awkwardly placed on h4, but he's given up the dark square f6. So I thought, okay, I've got play now. Even if I have to lose time with my knight or whatever, I've got play. Rook f6, g5, knight f3. Okay, I've got this coming back here, by the way. Not a big problem, but an accident happens in a minute here. At one point, there was an improvement for Mr. Slow. I didn't turn on the engine here, but there was one move now. I thought he had a better move. I can't remember what it was, but I thought maybe knight d8 wasn't the right move. Well, it's a good move, according to the engine. The engine likes rook g6. Rook g6, rook g6, knight g6. And I'm kind of underdeveloped. I'm tied down to c2, and he can attack me down the f-file. I guess black is better. But I think it's natural to play knight d8. It's a good move as well. And he gives himself this possible retreat back to e8. I've entrenched myself on a good outpost here on f6. But man, I make a terrible blunder. So now knight h2, which was my plan. I don't know. I would just like move the king to b8 or something like that if I were black. Pretty standard prophylactic move. He played this, which mobilizes his queen, I guess. Threatening queen's h7. And so I'm not quite sure what I was thinking here. I guess actually, yeah, why does my move work? Maybe I just missed queen h7. No, maybe I missed it. Why does this not work? Queen h7. Oh, I have rook a2. Okay, that's a standard move. But even there, you would have like queen e4 check. And there I still have king f1. Okay, so I can hold everything. I probably saw that. It's obviously very awkward with the rook on a2, but that's a standard move. But I totally missed this. Totally. Knight takes e5. It just blows my position out of the water. So it's like an absolute disaster. And I thought I was just done. We lost our central pawn. But in a vacuum, I'm going to turn off the engine now. In a vacuum, all he's done is win a pawn. It's not totally the end of the world. And I still have the bishop pair, which still has a lot of potential. It's a dynamic position. He still has a backward pawn along the e-file. So even if Stockfish says that white is clearly losing here, I don't think that practical chances are completely out of the question. So I played queen e2, and I think that maybe this is really his big mistake. He just went for a very forcing continuation with knight d3. Okay, so this just wins, actually. Knight d7. Oof. So he hits my rook and hits my knight. I'm done. I mean, I just missed queen e7, knight e5. I mean, so actually I have to admit I made a second blunder. But I don't know what white should play. My whole position is destroyed. I lost my e5 pawn to a one-move tactic. Yeah, luckily, I'm very lucky this doesn't work. Knight e3 check. Because I can take, and then the position isn't that bad. Things kind of opened up for my bishops, and everything's protected. It was lucky that I survived. After pawn takes pawn. Black is not clearly winning anymore. And I don't think you're going to see a lot of people castle queenside. But it was nice to see him bring that bishop off of a4. I could breathe. Bishop takes, rook takes, and now bishop e3. Obviously castling queenside in the winnower. Very standard. I don't know. I guess I had better. I didn't see c5. Suddenly his king is not safe because of a6. And my rook here. Possibly bishop f4. But I was just happy to even survive. And he's in bad time pressure. Queenside castles. Never happens in the widower. Queenside castles. And I was sad with this move. This made me very sad. It totally defends everything. I mean, he at this point, he's up a pawn, and I have nothing to attack. So black's out of danger. Momentary danger is gone. Queen takes, centralizing the queen, and then I'm lucky that I didn't lose here again, because I missed rook c7 in time pressure. Luckily, I could play c5, and black's still not winning. And this is a mistake, and I just play queen b2, and the ending is okay for me. So even though I'm like still down a pawn, my rook is so active, and this pawn cramping him on c5. I've got a better king. Actually, after take, recapture, I think he was supposed to play something else, but he played knight b7, rook h6, knight c5. I started having some hallucination in this position that black had a threat, but I don't think he does. After bishop takes g5, he played e5 and offered a draw. I really seriously considered playing for a win, because this is the best my position has been since the opening. But actually, black is only like 0.1 worse. I would have played bishop e3, so I accepted the draw. The advantage is not really significant. Not enough pawns left here for white to play for win. If it was a really low-rated player, I would have played on. I could definitely beat a weaker player in this endgame, probably. The bishop's a little... It's a little better than the knight. The knight doesn't have a good outpost. And he's put both of his pawns on dark square so they could be attacked by my bishop. So theoretically, white is slightly better now. But it was a good game by him. I felt like I played pretty bad. I mean, I was down plus 4 for black there after two blunders. But it's a simul, so good game. All right. We've got Astrobate up next. AP87 and DK guy. All right, Astrobate, where are you? What do you got for us this week? This week in cheapos. Is this the right Thursday submission? Blitz chess. Alright. Astrobate is white. Played a perfect game. Embarrassing play by me. I didn't feel too well when he played knight takes e5. You don't want to blunder like the key component of your center. But that's kind of the problem with playing a sharp variation like the winnower without having enough theoretical knowledge. I mean, I've never played that position before. I'm not that familiar or comfortable. I've played similar structures, but you got to know it a little deeper. I mean, Mr. Slowhand plays the French all the time. He's pretty well read in that defense. All right, so Astrobate is white here. E4, E5, knight F3, and no Philidor. Knight C6. For some reason, Astrobate's opponents like play the Philidor almost every single game. It's weird. It's like they don't know that the knight can jump over the pawn or something like that. It's very strange. I don't know why everyone plays d6 instead of knight c6 against him. But this guy knew about the knight move. Bishop c4. And now knight f6, also best. Oh, okay, I mean bishop c5, I don't know. It might be better. I'm starting to think I like bishop c5 better than knight f6. They're approximately equal. Knights before bishops. Okay. d3. And now the classic. This should be instructive. The classic d5. And it's not the fried liver. I think this is an important question. Bob, what are you talking about? Here after knight g5? Well, the fried liver is not good for black. So you have to play knight a5, which is a gambit, a pawn sacrifice, attributed to Trigorin. Or, if you're feeling experimental, you can also play the knight d4 and b5 variations, which may actually be playable for black, both of the above. In all cases, like, white is up a pawn, but black has active compensation. I think it's better to play bishop c5 because the Evans doesn't scare me as much, objectively. That's also an issue. You got to know what you're doing here. At least there's no knight g5. Anyway, so d3, d5, and this, you know, it's hard to explain to a beginner why this is a bad move. It looks like the most logical move in the world. Why not play d5? It's protected. There's no tricks on f7, you know. Trexler. Right. Teach Astrobate to play the Trexler. He doesn't play e4, e5 with black, though. If he did, we would definitely go there. If black had like one more move of development, this probably would be okay. The problem is, after pawn takes d5, knight takes d5, this pawn is so sensitive. Black's king is still in the center, and we can put big pressure on e5. And there's no easy way for black to get out of this. I think there's instances where black actually sacrifices the e5 pawn for reals. Forever. But this is very few strong players playing this. Morozevich, you know, he's pretty crazy with his choice of openings. And he lost against Leko. I mean, not surprising. Leko, who's extremely correct against the basically incorrect Morozevich, who's purposely going against principles often. Interesting stylistic battle there. Anyways, e takes d5, knight takes d5. What are you doing? So Astrobate makes an inaccuracy. So you miss the boat. You have to go after the e5 pawn as fast as possible. That's the key here. I wonder if like even d4 is a good move for white. What would happen after d4? What if like d4, e takes d castle? There's only one game where anyone actually did this. So there's a slight problem with knight b6, like a double attack. Huh. Double attack. Even that may not be that bad after bishop e5. Wow. Better for white. That's pretty crazy. So even d4 is a viable move. Apparently here it's okay. Bishop g4 is okay. Still not better for black though, probably. Alright, but you best develop. Castle. So Asterbate plays c3. Castles is strong. Now what does he do about his e5 pawn? How do you suggest we defend the e5 pawn? You don't. The best way to defend the e5 pawn is not to defend it. You can't teach a new dog old tricks. Asterbate. He's obsessed with c3. If black tries to play this passively, like f6 is a disaster. I mean, it goes without saying. That diagonal. We blast it open. And how are you going to defend this pawn on e5? Bishop d6 drops a knight. I guess that's what Morozevich did. Probably the best try, realistically. Bishop e5. So Leko, scientifically, taking Morozevich apart. Now f6. Even the engine doesn't like f6. It just wants to castle. Actually, I like it better too. Morozevich didn't have the cojones or the opening knowledge to pull this off. Man. I mean, you're down a pawn and your structure is hammered. But the computer thinks it's okay. After rook e8. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So what happens on knight c6? Two-pawn sacrifice for the initiative. It's pretty extreme. Pretty extreme, if you ask me. But interesting. Interesting. I would rather sacrifice a pawn than passively defend e5. But alright. So we get this. This is too slow. Objectively, black's biggest issue is the pawn in e5. If he can play knight b6, he buys time. Probably something like bishop d6, right? Funny that this one game where this happened, white won anyway. But the tempo makes a huge difference. This is actually probably about equal. Alright, guys. So Asterbate played too slow. Bishop c5, castles, that's good. Black made a mistake with bishop c5. And now castles, and we transpose back to some kind of later d5, I would assume. I mean, this probably happened as a result of something like this, right? Bishop c5, castles, and now black plays d5. Or maybe castles, c3, and only then black plays d5. Yeah. See, now you can kind of get away with it. You see, like, there's legit games by Aronian and Kramnik. The longer we wait, the more slow moves white makes, the more, like, playable this move becomes. So Asterbate is transposed into this, which is actually a line. Castles, castles, and now a4. His obsession with the queenside pawns. a4 is like a sneaky move, trying to play like b4, b5 really fast. Bishop g4. A move I usually don't like for black. Of course it feels active, but this is a very important piece for black. He really desperately cannot trade that bishop off under any circumstances. Black. Asterbate is obsessed with playing a3 and a4 and b4. I kind of like h3 here. I want to see where he's going. Maybe objectively black should put the bishop on like f5 or something. Nevednici failed to win here with white after bishop h5, b4, bishop e7. Vladislav Nevednici. Who played in the Soviet Championship, believe it or not. g4. Wow, he just went crazy. Alright, a4, bishop g4, b4, bishop d6, dropping a piece. That's the acerbate magic. Wow, impressive. Nevednici's jealous. His opponent didn't do that. He went to e7. So easy when you acerbate every time he gets lucky. He has some sort of magic power to make his opponents blunder. This is taking it easy on him. I'm up a piece now. I'm just coming home. I'm serious. I'm not taking on b7. I am just bringing my bishop back. And I'm up a piece. Thank you very much. See you next time on The Price is Right. I think you're up a clear piece here. You don't want to take any chances. It's risky to take on b7. It's risky to put it on e4. This is a terrible blunder. Now black has f5 with complications. Yeah, now you define the situation. If he plays bishop h5, you trap his bishop with g4. It's game over now. That's the most important minor piece for black. As I said earlier, he cannot trade this off. Did anybody else's Twitch crash? Mine is not. We are live. Maybe it did. Actually, maybe it did. It didn't crash, but it seems slow. No, it looks slow on my Twitch. It's possible. But I would have more complaints if it crashed. Just take, game over. Alright, Asterbait, let's see the finish. Game over. Trade it off. Getting more systematic here. Taking pawns. I don't like it. Alright, get that pawn down there. Make a queen. I was joking with Asterbait some weeks ago that he never ever wins because of making a queen. If he added that method of winning to his arsenal... When was the last time you saw Asterbait queen a pawn? Like, seriously. It just doesn't exist in his utility belt. Now it's getting kind of scary. G4. Oof. It was getting scary till that. You actually could have taken an f4 there. I like this idea of developing your rooks, quite honestly. I'm surprised the guy didn't play g3. I mean, here. At least try. Asterbait would have spotted this hanging queen here if he tried to mate Asterbait in one, though. Oof. I would definitely give g5 a try. That's made in 3 or something. Imagine that Magnus won by drawing Armageddon. What a surprise. I like how they played it out to the maximum. Maximized viewership. They probably had it planned out. Queen takes h7, check, king g5, queen g7. Man, you took your time about this. How did you not mate him right away? Man, that was kind of dangerous. Finally, the mate threat. Alright, good job. That was hard to take it down. Everything is rigged. See the whining. That's why I tune in. After a 17-day match, I really want to see the loser whining about it. Alright, guys. We've got... Man, Nakamura should be so happy he's getting all that exposure. He's not even in the top 10 in the world, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. They're acting like it's... People think it's like the World Championship or something. It's just like a random rapid tournament online, you know? It's not the freaking World Championship. He's not even in the top 10 in the world anymore. He's not even close. It's such a huge, huge opportunity for him to get exposure. He should be so happy just to have that opportunity. All right, AP87 and DK Guy. Guys, tomorrow, that match will be... There'll be books written about it. Bob Sakamano. You know there's going to be thousands of books. They'll dig them up hundreds of years from now. Archaeologists finding... Right alongside 500 Master Games of Chess will be like the online Magnus Carlsen tournament, where he faced Hikaru Nakamura in a never-ending 10+5 match. It's right up there with like the Evergreen game. Maybe like the last tournament before like the world ended or something could make it famous. I'm not sure. If an asteroid like crashed into the planet, it might become like historically significant. But that's just me, you know. I'm just Mr. Sarcasm. I tell it like it is. Alright. I'm going to Over the Board tournament tomorrow. I will see you guys next Wednesday. But we've got time for a couple more games. So, AP87, who, by the way, I'm not sure he's a subscriber, but he has supported the stream by playing on our team. Hi, William. A friend of mine said that I managed to play a good game. What is your thought? It was a short time control, however. I love it when, like, Jim submits bullet games to analyze. Sour grapes. I thought that was an English saying. It was probably ancient Greek, and they translated it to English, for all we know. Maybe Jim would know. Alright. My favorite Aesop's fables are the ones from Rocky and Bullwinkle. Are you too young for that, Bob, to remember those? Fractured fairy tales? Where they had all different kind of versions of the fairy tales. Those are the best. Even my kids like those. I don't care about the real ones. E4, E5. Tranquilizer rating with a party of 17. Boris and Natasha. Everybody knows Rocky and Bullwinkle, but the best part were the fractured fairy tales. They tried to do a remake of Rocky and Bullwinkle. It was awful. Awful. Horrible. Destroying it. One of the worst things I've ever seen. Tranquilizer, what's up? We'll see you later. Guys, check out Tranquilizer. Streaming frequently here on lichess, Grandmaster Vita Levente. The Vita LV. Thanks for the raid, man. Welcome, Tranquilizers. You guys can win the tournament this weekend, because I'm taking the week off. We'll let you win this time. 5 emote shared. Bob he gifted a tier 1 sub to GM Tranquilizer. The Bob with 5 emote shared. Thank you, sir. That's our first gift sub this week. And our last. Maybe not. We still have time. I shouldn't be so negative. Thanks to the Tranquilizers for visiting. We've got a game here. Our hero was playing Andrei Zhigalko. I don't know how this Zhigalko. Terrible. I guess it's Zhigalko, right? I know that. So, What's the time control? 5 plus 4. Well, that's not too fast. That's cool. Thank you, Bob, for subscribing. Levante. Bishop e5, knight d4. The bird variation. Other teams can steal my players. Well, I mean, we've had players who are they're traitors. It's happened already. But I don't blame the other teams. I blame the players personally as traitors. So I don't hold it against the other teams for those players. The players themselves will have to pay the price later. Megalodon, great name. Wasn't the best part Underdog? No. Underdog was a separate thing. Underdog is another cartoon. No. Rocky and Bullwinkle was unique. Man, it's so sick when they try to redo stuff. That's like, you can't redo that. Knight to d4. You think he started on Rocky and Bullwinkle? Maybe you're right. I don't consider myself an expert in anything. Well, if two people think so, there's just Megalodon. Do we have a second? Anybody else want to second the motion that Underdog came from Rocky and Bullwinkle? I'm sure it can be easily researched by Bob on Google. Or Wikipedia. But I'm not going to say definitively that they're not connected, but I had the feeling not. I'm going to bet not, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, this is interesting. So AP87 playing against a strong Grandmaster with the bird variation. I once saw Grandmaster Nair play this at a tournament in the Boston area when he came to the United States. It's not a great line, but it's probably the kind of thing that even strong players don't bother to study because it's so rare. You can catch somebody out with this move. It's just not really that promising, but it might be good enough. See, Magnus even lost with it, 2014. That was in the Olympiad, I think, if I remember correctly. He lost against Saric. Pretty sure that 2014 loss was in the Olympiad, like Croatia against Norway. Thinking of Mr. Peabody. But I would be pretty pissed if Magnus Carlsen was on my team and he lost because he played the bird defense. That's like something Rapport would do. Like, let down the whole Hungarian Olympiad team by playing stupid things. You know? You don't do that in a team tournament. I mean, you can do what you want in an individual tournament. But when you play in a team tournament and you're not a traitor to the team, you don't play stupid things on purpose. So anyway, knight takes d4, pawn takes d4, castle's main line, and now bishop c5. There is another line with c6. This is interesting. I haven't looked at this. Apparently g6 is a move. I've never ever seen anyone play that. That's interesting. Spassky played it in 2001. Bishop c5 is the main line. And I've played this way with white myself. d3. So now c6. Now bishop a4 is the most usual. This is what I've always played. Bishop a4, knight e7, and then f4. I thought this was main line. Ivan Chuk, losing in 1990, you can see the greatest player ever to play this position with black. That game is quoted in a lot of Roy Lopez books from back in the day. Wow, we found a topic that's too complex for Bob. It's not even like open heart surgery. That would probably be easy, but old cartoons. Man, I'm losing. I need glasses. Chess Be Chill is new here. Say hello. Hello. Say hi, Marty. Say hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. That's what my mom did. And my son, too, when he was a little kid. So f4, main line there. So Zhigalko plays bishop c4. Now I know this is a variation, but I thought it wasn't as good. So you play d6. I know this is the main line. d5, takes, takes, and then I don't know what the best continuation is. I looked at this a long time ago, a little bit, and I realized that because I was looking like how to play with white, and I decided to stick with what I knew, to stick with bishop a4. I couldn't find something better. So after bishop c4, it looks like d5 is the critical move. You end up with two isolated pawns, but they're still pretty good controlling the center. I mean, this is playable, but it's a little passive. So I would assume white just go back to these aggressive plans with like f4. Turns out he knows the theory. Wow. But I mean, if you're going to play a move like bishop c4, Zhigalko is a well-known grandmaster. And he probably knows like the main line is bishop a4. If he's going to play a specialty move like bishop c4, it's not surprising that he knows to play queen h5 here. It's a kind of pretty cute move. So queen e7, I've never seen this before. Pop Gabor lost the game with white in 2016, wow. Not Pop Jula, but Pop Gabor. Bishop g5, knight f6, queen h4. And now you play bishop e6. So what happened? So h6 has a really good score for black, 50% out of 14 games. And this is how Pop Gabor lost. Now check it out. Nair, I mentioned earlier, 1995, had played this already against Bologan. He's the only strong player I've ever seen play the bird variation in a real tournament. It was like a smaller 7-round Swiss in the United States. It was around 2000. He was 2550. Now he's like high 26. But bishop e6, I don't know. Looks like a reasonable move. Computer doesn't like it. But the problem is with h6, we're not threatening anything. What are we threatening? To play like rook g8? Bologan played f4. And after rook g8, white has to give up the bishop. But what did Nair do? You're telling me that Nair castled? Nair cat. Wow. That looks kind of dangerous for black. Man. You would think like white could sack a piece here. The problem is take, knight h7, and you run out of ammo. What happens if like knight d2? H takes g, f takes g. I guess there's no threats. Just go here. White runs out of stuff. So Andrea Peroni should play, it looks like h6. And the variation actually has pretty good results. This isn't as good. We're following some random game. Well, it doesn't resolve the situation. The situation here. Castle's queenside. Obviously. Intending to play a sharp position. He's going to take. Zhigalko would love to play a nice, simple, tactical game against a low-rated player. See, but most people would play queen takes. They'd be like, oh my god, I'm playing a grandmaster. I made it to an endgame. Hooray for me, you know. he did play queen takes f6. No, he played g takes f. Okay, so I was expecting queen takes. Interesting. I mean, maybe white is just better in the endgame and very safe after queen f6, pawn f6. Simple technical endgame. White is slightly better due to pawn structure. How insane is it to castle queenside here? I don't think it's that insane. You know, I don't think it's that insane. But I mean, obviously he can play this, you know. It's not that insane. Probably I would have traded queens and been slightly worse in the endgame. I mean, technically white could avoid trading queens by playing bishop takes e6 check if he wanted to, and then play something weird like, I don't know, queen h3. But it's obviously a little dangerous, because black could start pushing his pawns up and like trap the queen or cause some problems. But I know this guy, Andrea. He's totally maniacal. So even facing a strong grandmaster, he's like not afraid to keep the queens on. And objectively, I guess black is threatening bishop b4 now. But I don't want to trade. I don't want to trade on white's terms. All right, so g takes, knight b3, and now no trade. But why the h rook? Thanks, Mr. Coffee, for taking care of it. Yeah, it's just a weird move. He played rook hg8, when obviously rook dg8 makes a lot more sense. You're threatening rook g4, you have the h pawn with the rook behind it. It was just a simple mistake. I mean, it's difficult to say. White should probably play like b3, I guess. That would maximize his structural advantage. What is the time control here? Zhigalko has 10 minutes and 28 seconds. How do you have 10 minutes and 28 seconds when the game started at 5+4? Are you serious? He played like every single move in 1 second? That's just perverse. Wait, he started with 15 minutes. Why does it say 5+4 casual blitz? Oh, it's a simul. Okay, okay. It's a simul with extra time. I didn't understand. So it's not really 5+4. It's a simul with extra time. So Zhigalko had 15 minutes to start. Now he's technically better. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that he let black take on c4. He's playing too fast. He plays tons of fast, ultra fast games. But I really like. I would pretty much 100%, not this position, but previously. And taking on h6 is ridiculous, by the way. Why doesn't he just play b3 here? I mean, this is just clearly slightly better for white. I wouldn't touch that h-pawn. Why do you want to risk your king safety? Here, okay, it's a reasonable move. Rook g4, just don't take the pawn. I like these pawns the way they are. So, I mean, Zhigalko's playing fast. He's not paying enough attention to the pawn structure. He takes the pawn. That's obviously dangerous. Still, maybe it's objectively good. Take, take. You can take on e4 now, but white's still... Yeah, there's a problem with c2. So what happens if rook e4, queen e4, queen f6, and queen c2, and queen f7? It's a mess. Very messy ending. Probably white is better because of this outside h-pawn coming down. Then again, black has a pawn on d4. I don't know. Both sides have a very powerful protected pass pawn. Very powerful protected pass pawn. Powerful protected pass pawn. That's 4 P's. Potentially. I'm not familiar. Give me a break. I'm just not used to looking at them here. I mean, it shows 5+4 and I didn't double check it, so. First I thought it was a 5+4 game. So let's see what happened. He didn't take the pawn, played king b8. Andre playing usually all in, all or nothing, like totally. He doesn't play like for a draw ever. Objectively, white is winning here. Black missed his best chances. There's still some practical tries with his time control. And now white is in desperate time pressure. So is black. And I guess he won by time. White timed out. But it's still a game. It's only like a pawn up for white. 8 pawns against 7. White timed out. He still had all 8 of his pawns. That's really messed up. 26 moves. He still has all 8 pawns. And loses on time. Alright guys. Last game, Mr. DK. For today. Mr. DK. If you need entries, I played a pretty decent game last Sunday. You don't trust Bob's choice of websites? Oh, another game with me? You guys serious? I like seeing my losses. This is going to make Schieberspieler happy. We're not serious about the My Little Pony stuff around here. Just so you can be reassured that I'm not a brony. It's just poking fun at myself a little bit. The pony animation. I'm not afraid to make a joke at my own expense. I'm very masculine, so had to kind of water it down with the pony. D4, knight f6, knight f3, g6. DK guy playing a game with the white pieces here. I'm sorry. DK guy is white. So d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6, c4, bishop g7. Oh, that game. This is like from 2 weeks ago. So I've played a lot of games with DK guy. I didn't know who I was playing here. The names were hidden when I was playing the game. I normally don't really like to play the King's Indian against people in the simuls because I don't have a lot of time. But I developed this recent sort of taste for the Benoni. I decided to throw out castles e4, c5. This is something that I do just for fun. I don't really play the Benoni. I mean, every King's Indian player, which I was really regularly, has to play Benonis in certain structures. So we know how to play the Benoni. But I'm not really a Benoni player. I've actually had kind of poor results when I tried to play the Benoni a few times straight up. But anyway, normally what I get here, a lot of bishop e2, and we transpose to the Marazzi bind. I don't mind that, although it's better for white, as everyone knows. Usually I have a choice, Benoni or Marazzi bind. So he goes for d5, and objectively black should play the Benoni. Definitely. I played d6, now bishop e2, and I think I've only ever played this with black once in my life against Christian Sabo, and I lost in a First Saturday Grandmaster tournament, like 2008 or something like that. I don't remember which year it was exactly. The only one game I ever played this in my life, a mainline, like Fischer. This is famous because of 1972. Their move order was probably different, but we can transpose to Fischer Spassky 1972 after e6, I guess. This variation has been coming back for white a little bit. For a long time, nobody liked to play bishop e2, but it's still considered better for white, as far as I know, theoretically. For a long time, it was under a cloud because of the Fischer-Spassky match. I think a lot of people thought the bishop e2, Benoni wasn't aggressive enough for white. But anyways, I decided to play b5. It's like a bad Benko for black, and I wouldn't do this in a long game, but I didn't know who I was playing, first of all, and secondly, I've had decent results in blitz. A lot of people aren't really prepared for this move. Anyways, he has to take. I play a6. And then, I mean, you see different moves from people here. Sometimes people play a4. I guess castles is most common. It's one or the other. I guess you can take on a6. Castle or play a4. All three moves are playable. If a4, I take on b5 before he has the time to play rook a3, for example, here. If I wait too long, he'll play rook a3, and I'll be able to take back with a pawn on b5, which is probably good. So I should take on b5 right away. DK guy here plays, what, castles? I take. He takes back with the bishop. And, like, look at the score. It is not good. I don't know, it's not that bad for black, but this score is, like, awful. I mean, I guess nobody ever plays this. If you want to know where I got the idea to play this from, it was a tournament, like, you might have heard of, Zurich 1953, where, I don't remember who he was playing against. I think that Kyrgios won with black, or played this with black in one of his games from Zurich 1953. But it's just not quite a good enough Benko. It's like a watered down Benko where you don't get to play like bishop takes f1 and ruin white's ability to castle. But it's good for beating weak players with black. So I don't know if I've ever played this. Bishop a6, apparently best. And now he played rook e1. Looks like a good move. Here I didn't spend enough time thinking. You know, looking at it in retrospect, I don't know why. I think I might normally take on b5. But I was playing the simul, I was playing quickly, and I just said, okay, let's just make a developing move. But honestly, like, his knight is not really well placed there on b5. I've had a lot of games in the Benko with white where I was able to construct sort of white square position. The rook a2, b3, a4, knight d2, knight c4, create a sort of force field where the black bishop doesn't exist. It's like a zombie or something, a ghost piece. But I think objectively, there's a Burmakin game here from 2014 where he drew Vlad. But Vlad and I are blackjack buddies. Bishop takes, knight takes. Burmakin. He's the only good player who played this ever. Okay, let's see. Knight on bd7. So this isn't as good. Apparently he can play like bishop c6. After queen e2, I play queen a5. This kind of Benoni Benko idea. He plays bishop d2. So now I play knight takes c4. And at this point, I honestly was afraid I'm clearly worse. The engine thinks it's not that bad. I will tell you guys now, my fear here was that he gets to maneuver his bishop from d2 to c3, and it's like game over after that. If something like this happens, and he's able to play, let's say like, oh, my queen is hanging, sorry. I don't know. How would this go down? How would this go down? Bishop e5, knight b5, queen b6, bishop c3. Now I have knight takes e4 actually. Maybe I didn't analyze this far enough. So I decided to roll the dice here. And I couldn't calculate exactly what was happening. I wanted to play something fun, but objectively this is a blunder. But it doesn't lose outright. It's just kind of a fun tactic. Apparently it's a mistake. So I lose the base of my pawn chain at e7. And then all hell breaks loose. Queen takes e4, bishop takes b5, queen takes e7. This is very important. I lost my e7 and my d6 is weak. So what happens is this. Knight b6, knight e4, queen a6. And that was the best move according to the computer, I think. Queen a6, here, queen d6. And I'm not sure if you played the best moves, DK Guy. I was pretty scared of knight f6 check, but I didn't see anything clear after king h8. Obviously, I can't take it. I would get mated on the dark squares eventually. So I was concerned about knight f6 check, not a problem immediately. This looks like it's a good move. And I think here the computer wanted to play a different move for me. Let me see. Rook d8, which makes a lot of sense. I was just really, really freaked out by knight f6 stuff. So this is apparently like a second mistake by me. After queen a6, bishop a6, bishop c3, and that was what I was afraid of before, all along. You know, him getting to trade my dark square bishop on the king side, but I get to take this. So honestly, I thought I was going to survive here. Maybe you could play knight f6 check. But after this, I'm apparently probably holding on. Even though I'm down 2 pawns, his pawns are pretty weak. The a pawn is the worst of all. So this is apparently an accuracy. Here, here, here. And then it was DK Guy's turn to make a mistake. Here, I'm not sure this is the best move. Rook here. But I distinctly remember one thing about this position. I completely overlooked bishop e2. Either I overlooked it or I just didn't think it was any good. The computer wants to play bishop e2, I remember. But why? Why is this good? Okay, I smashed his pawns. Or do I? There's another move too. I could have also played bishop c4. I think that I'm hanging on here. Like, there's no way you're beating Gashimov. This is like a standard Gashimov-Benoni endgame. No way you're winning. I'm picking off one of your pawns. But man, so apparently like both of those moves were better than what I played. I played like the worst possible move here, bishop e4. And now rook d4. And like I wasted the tempo. I put his rook on a good square. Rook d4, take. And then rook a3, good move. And so we get this really interesting position now, king g2. And raise your hand if you think this is a draw. Should this be a draw? Because I think it's a draw, probably, with best play. Even though he's like up 2 pawns in an endgame. You think bishop c4, knight e5? Bishop c4, knight e5. Bishop a2. I mean, are you winning this position? That pawn is not that far away from my king. I'm a little skeptical whether this is a win for white. You have some trick with knight d7? See what the oracle says. It's a draw. This is my final, well, one of my final blunders. Bishop c4 is, apparently bishop e2 doesn't help that much. Still makes more sense than what I did though. I think this is the clearest move here. So apparently you have a better move like a4. No, a4 makes sense. a4, rook f d8, a5. I mean, I would play bishop takes d5, I guess. I might be losing. So the engine prefers this. Rook takes. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, the A pawn is kind of dangerous. I don't really know if it's a draw or a win. Black has chances to draw here. Definitely. But this position is curious. Not here. But after this, I don't think this is a win for white. I don't know. I don't see how white wins it. I'm very angry that I lost here. So apparently d6 is the best move. The engine can't go above 1-1 for white. If the computer says 1, I mean, it has to be a draw. There's no way, if the valuation is under 1.5, that this is a win. But I have to defend really well. This rook is on a good square too. I make a bad move a little bit later. We're both getting in time pressure. He's in worse time pressure than me now. d6, and then king f6. I thought that was a good move. Apparently it's a blunder. Well, rook d7 makes more sense. I did that on the next move. So I should have blockaded it right away. Here, here. He wasted time, and now I blockaded. So this position is a draw. I believe that, like 100%. You can lose 3 pawns and still draw. Absolutely. You can lose your A, one of your F, and your D, and it's still a draw. I'm not saying it's easy, but I don't know how white can make progress with optimal defense. But I did something really dumb. Probably even this move. My rook is extremely well placed on A3. It's keeping an eye on A2. It's attacking F3. It's active. It's blockading your pawn. Maybe I don't have a choice, though, because my other rook is stuck and my king can't cross over. I could make a waiting move like H5, but maybe rook A6 isn't the mistake. Here, king E6, king G3, rook A4, rook E1 check, king F6, and this is a problem. Now he's better. Rook A6, and there I should have gone to A3 probably. Again. And I thought I was lost here, but it's not clear that it's so easy. How white wins, I don't know. But he did a pretty good job. You did a pretty good job from this point forward. I guess I'm lost now. I'm not quite sure like where I went over the edge, but I guess this was the critical point. Before, around here, wasting that time with my king was clearly bad. Let's see what this oracle says now. Rook A3. Rook A6 is okay. King F5 is like a ridiculous blunder. I mean, seriously. This is the best move according to the engine. Apparently I could have played King E6, and you can't do anything special. But I don't know. You'd have to talk... Honestly, you'd have to talk to like Karsten Mueller to know if this is a win for white or not. Obviously, you have practical chances. Maybe it is. If you let it run overnight with plus depth 30, it'll probably tell us if it's a win or not. But it's extremely hard to win. This is a stupid waste of time with my king. And then, as I said after the stream, you got your rook behind, which is really important in any kind of rook endgame. I thought I was holding on here, but he has this move. And at some point you're going to blunder. Right here. I was terrified of rook b6, but I couldn't analyze it all the way. So this is apparently winning for you. But I wasn't sure. It takes the engine forever to realize it's a win, because it's a king and pawn that has to calculate many, many moves. Take, king c6, king e4, and then f4, f5. In my preliminary analysis, I missed f4. I was more concerned about this move, and then I actually winning. But if you play f4, I assume I'm drawing here. This is a really sick part. I figure, oh, I'm back, I'm fine, I'm not down any material. I completely didn't see this in my head. It's almost unfair. You're not up any material. My king is getting back, you can't penetrate, and you have f5 and you're winning. But I mean, many strong players would have missed this. It's even like weird because I'm inside the square of the pawn, basically. I'm inside the square of this pawn. After takes, f6. This is just a really freak position. I have this very powerful outside pawn. I'm inside the square of the pawn, so I'm in time to stop it. And I still lose. It's unbelievable. Because king d6, king f5, and he's starting to take my pawn, which gives him time to get to like g6. So h4, king g6 would be the cleanest, I guess. And I queen with check. Slight problem. In my head, I didn't see it, so I thought I would survive. And maybe DK guy saw it as well. Yeah, you were probably afraid too. You weren't sure with no time left. So you naturally played the safe move. This is actually good too. And now I was afraid of rook b6 check, so I played king c7. It probably doesn't matter. I didn't want you to play rook b6 with check. So I think you're winning. And this is good. And that's the whole idea anyway. And the engine says like I should have played rook e6 check. I did, okay. Rook e6 check. Here. And I wanted to play, yeah, I wanted to play f5, but I didn't see what it did after rook e5. I guess I didn't think it did anything. So I didn't know what to do. I played this. And now f3. And now I get lucky, right? Like you totally blundered. For one moment, I have a chance. But this was counterintuitive to me, king d7. I figured you were better here. Maybe not enough to win. So I played this, and you played another blunder. This is your biggest blunder. If you had played f5 like you played in the game, you were winning. So we both made a lot of little mistakes. This is a huge mistake, and I'm absolutely holding after king d7. I'm totally not losing now. But I'm such an idiot. No, I did play that, okay. I'm an idiot anyway. In this position, after rook b5, I could just take the pawn. So we both butchered this endgame. Of course it looks dangerous, like rook takes f4, check, my king is forced back, you know, but I'm scared of the a pawn. I guess king c8 with tempo. That's the tempo on this rook. I should hold on. But I thought, oh no, I'm holding the other way, but I missed f5. Pretty easy to see if you're white, actually. But I missed it with black. So I played this silly move in f5, and that's a beautiful thing for white. Because he blocks me all up, and even though I get his h pawn, it doesn't save me. After this, you know, I figured, okay, I'd survive. But you get a perfect position. I don't know, it doesn't matter what I play now. Even though it's 2 pawns against 2 pawns, my f6 is gone, and your pawns are protected forever on f3 and a6. And the key is that your king is so active here. I thought with the outside pawn on h5, but this was a terrible move, actually. Maybe there's still hope here for me. Is there still hope for me to save the game after king e6, rook h4? It would be amazing. I can play rook h1 now. This is DK Guy. It was a silly blunder. Like, why should I give you my h-pawn for free without a fight? My h-pawn is the last thing I can possibly... I guess I was getting tired, but I mean, obviously, that's my last chance, is the passed pawn. How can I just give that to you here? This is a crazy move. Totally stupid. Passive. It puts me in a passive position where I'm like passively defending my lame pawn on f6, which is going nowhere because you have an f3 pawn. This is ridiculous. So rook h1, wow. Okay, so I guess I looked at this and the table base said it's winning. But that doesn't mean it's simple. You know, just because the table base says white is winning after capturing on f6 here, I would have had practical chances still. He has to play well. King f6. I keep some hope alive with that passed pawn. It was just a ridiculous decision to give you the h5 pawn. The f pawn is useless. I mean, honestly, I thought, okay, the f pawn will stop your f pawn, but I'm lost here. Your king is too active. So there's nothing I can do. Eventually, he just picks off that f6 pawn. Painful to relive this. He took his time about it. This is a killer. And then we just have a standard position where my king is cut off by the two files here. There's no way I can defend. Game over. I like how the computer gives you a question mark for rook to d3. Like, rook d2, double exclamation point. Damn, rook d3 was the best move. What? Rook d4 was best? How can he give you a question mark for rook d3? That's easily like the dumbest question mark I've ever seen from Stockfish, probably. Rook d3 question mark? Are you serious? It absolutely doesn't make a big difference. It helps you build a bigger bridge. You build a bigger bridge with rook d4. Closer for bridge building. I don't know. That's ridiculous. Alright guys, it was nice to end this on a positive note. I'll be really entering my over-the-board tournament fresh with that DK guy loss in my mind tomorrow. No stream tomorrow, guys. No stream till next Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday at 11 a.m. here with Blitz and Rapid Chess. It's possible I have a surprise stream or something before that. Wow, Mr. Slowhand with a massive 5 gift subs. Mr. Slowhand just donated 5 gift tier 1 subs to the community. Zeitgeist Move, Esmate, Amantis, Buch, and Tomasz Dreinson, who we've seen before. I can't even talk, guys. My throat is getting dry. Mr. Coffee with 500 bits. Good luck for the week. Good luck in the tournament. 10 emotes shared from Mr. Coffee as well. Super generous, guys. Thank you so much. Super generous. Thanks to all of you for supporting the stream. And I'm sorry that I have to take so many days off, but I need to feel like I remain a real chess player with an opportunity to play a tournament over the board. So I don't want to get to be a complete recluse in the over-the-board chess world. It's good for me to get out there and play a tournament. I haven't played since February. So with that, guys, I will see you next Wednesday. Possible surprise stream somewhere in between. But Ponda emote, perfect. We got a Ponda. Do you see that? Thank you, guys. Mr. Coffee, everyone. Might be ready to go sub 2300. Damn. What are you talking about, dude? No, that's not happening. Sorry, Mr. DK guy. But thank you for the positive sentiment. If I want to go 2300 sub, I'm going to do it for the money at some point. The online world open. No. I mean, maybe once I'm like a retiree and I'm a pensioner, I might go under 2300. But I'm not planning on any time soon. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to go under 2300. It's pretty hard for my rating to get any lower than it already is. Anyway, I will see you guys later. And thankfully, there's no like 10-year-old children in this tournament. No one under like 15 or 16. So we're good. I'll see you guys later. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, thank you. Thanks for the Panda animation. Anyway, we're going to do our best this week. Have fun. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks, everybody.